Hey guys, have you ever heard about those abandoned train tunnels in West Virginia? There's this one unspoken rule that all the locals out there know by heart, and it's simply, don't run. Believe it or not, that rule isn't actually about not tripping in the dark. It's there so you don't wake it up, because deep in the shadows of those tunnels, something is crouching right under the tracks, just waiting, and it only starts to hunt you. It only goes insane once you start trying to escape. Tonight, Horror Delivery is sharing a true story sent in by a guy named Mark. It's about two best friends who decided to take a shortcut, a little walk down memory lane. But that one walk, it ended up being the last step that changed their lives forever. Mark said this happened back in late autumn 2012. It was starting to get cold, and the sun was going down earlier than usual. He was meeting up with Ethan, his best friend from college. Back in the day, they were roommates, did everything together. But after graduation, they moved to different states and hadn't seen each other in over a year. The plan was simple. Go rock climbing near Salem, West Virginia. Just a quick day trip. But that morning, things just kept getting in the way. They wasted a ton of time at the rental shop, and then the GPS acted up, taking them through some back roads for way too long. It was almost noon by the time they finally got back on track, but when they got close to the climbing spot, they hit a wall. There was a massive road closed sign with state trucks blocking the whole way. A landslide had completely wiped out the main road. The ranger told them that if they wanted to go around, it would take at least 3 hours. In late autumn, that basically meant the sun would be gone by the time they even arrived. Plus, that trail is not something you want to be climbing in the dark. Ethan grew up around there, so he remembered something. He told Mark there was a shortcut. It was this old, abandoned coal tunnel called the Flinderation Tunnel. It cuts right through the mountain. It's less than 1 kilometer long. So if they just parked at the entrance and walked through, they'd be at the climbing spot in 20 minutes. It felt like a risk worth taking. At least they'd get some climbing in before sunset. Before heading in, they stopped at this tiny, rundown general store. The lights were dim, and the old fridge in the back was just humming. This old guy was sitting behind the counter, looking like he knew every single pothole on these roads. He just stared at their climbing ropes and helmets for the longest time, without saying a word. Then, he spoke up. His voice was low, more like a warning than advice. "You can go into the tunnel, sure." He paused, then looked them right in the eye. "But Mark, Ethan, remember, don't run." They chuckled a bit, thinking he was just worried about them tripping in the dark. But the old man, he didn't laugh back. He just kept going, choosing his words carefully. "Walk normally, like normal people do. And whatever you do, don't act like you're running away from something." Then he dropped this last part, and it was just weird. Down there, they don't like people who can still run too well. They just laughed it off. They thought it was just some local legend, something to spook the tourists. But as soon as they stepped inside the Flinderation Tunnel, Mark said the vibe changed instantly. It was like walking from the real world into something else. The sunlight from the entrance faded way too fast, before their eyes could even adjust. All they had were 2 flashlights, and the darkness just swallowed everything else. And the smell? Mark said it was heavy, this thick, damp smell of rust mixed with old grease and oil on the walls. But then there was this other smell. It wasn't overpowering, but it was there, a faint, rotting smell, the kind of smell that just makes your stomach turn. Like something had been trapped in there for a long, long time. After a few minutes, Ethan points his light at the ground between the tracks. He tells Mark it looks like a drag mark, a long, dark streak, like something wet or dirty had been pulled through the gravel. And that's when they stopped laughing, because the mark, it looked fresh, way too new for an abandoned tunnel. Then, right at that second, Mark hears it, from the darkness ahead. He couldn't quite tell what it was at first, but it was the sound of something scraping and grinding against the gravel. It was coming from deep in the dark, about 15, maybe 20 meters away. Mark told me that when he finally decided to shine his light toward that noise, his heart was pounding. He thought it was just a dog or something. But the second the beam hit it, he said, "Dude, I just froze. It wasn't like a jump scare or anything. It was just a guy, or at least it used to be. But he wasn't standing. He was crawling, just dragging himself along the tracks in these filthy, soaked-through worker clothes." Mark said he couldn't even see the guy's legs, like they were twisted up or just gone into the shadows. The thing stops dead as soon as the light hits him. Then he slowly looks up, and Mark said his eyes were insane. He wasn't even looking at their faces. He was just staring at their legs, like he was starving for them. And then he rasps out, in this voice that sounded like he hadn't used his throat in 50 years.
"Legs!"
He stops, like he's choking.
Why can you still walk?"
Mark's trying to keep it together. He whispers to Ethan, "Don't run, man. Just walk back. Don't run." But as soon as they move, the thing just speeds up. It starts crawling way too fast, like a lizard or something. And Ethan, he just loses it. He turns and bolts. The second Ethan starts running, Mark said the whole tunnel just woke up. The sound was right on their heels. They almost didn't make it. Ethan trips right at the exit, and Mark saw it with his own eyes. This pale white hand just grabbed Ethan's ankle. Mark had to literally rip him away to get him out of there. Even the doctor at the hospital was weirded out. He was like, what the hell happened to his leg? Because it wasn't just a scrape from falling. It was like his skin had been ground down by something heavy and rusty. And there was all this old engine oil and rust stuck deep inside the wound. They couldn't even wash it all out. Mark told me, whatever is in that tunnel, it's not just a ghost. It's something that lost its legs, and it's still down there, looking for a new pair from anyone who's fast enough to run. So, Mark actually went and dug through some old archives from the early 1900s. He found it. There was a horrific accident in that exact tunnel. There was this worker named Thomas. One day, he was working deep inside the tunnel, all by himself, when a coal train came barreling in without any warning. His co-workers near the exit managed to scramble out, but Thomas, he wasn't so lucky. He tripped right on the tracks, the exact second the train hit him. I want you to really picture this, because the records they're brutal. Hundreds of tons of steel wheels just crushed his waist. His body was literally ripped in half, instantly. But that wasn't even the worst part. The most messed up thing is, Thomas didn't die right away. He was still conscious. He actually started using his hands, just his hands, to drag what was left of his upper body through the dark. He was trying to get out, all by himself. He almost made it too. He was just a few feet from the exit when he finally died. They found him with his fingers still clawing into the gravel. Some places aren't quiet because they're empty. They're quiet because the people who actually know the truth, they're trying not to do anything to get attention. Tonight, if you find yourself in a dark alley or some place you don't know, just walk. Keep it steady. Don't let your mind play tricks on you. And whatever you do, don't run. Just because you're scared. Because maybe, just maybe, the thing behind you isn't chasing you because it's hungry. It's chasing you because it heard you. That's it for horror delivery. Watch the floor. Check the shadows and listen very, very carefully to the sound of your own footsteps. Good night.